Good morning, Seller Sessions. And good morning for you, Regina, because it's 1
Yes,
a.m.
it's very,
where you are.
very early morning for me. Very early morning.
I have to say a big thank you for that because you stayed up just so you can come on Seller Sessions and share your beautiful energy and your knowledge with all our listeners. So I want to thank you so much. And Danny thanks you and all our listeners for staying up to be
Oh,
here today.
I'm honored. It's been a while since you and I had a chat. I think you were one of my first earliest guests when I started my podcast a couple of years ago, if you remember that.
How could I forget, Regina? Because that was actually my very first podcast with you.
And look at you now. Look
And
at you now. I'm
look at us
honored to
both
have
now.
played a small part in that.
I know. I remember when you first asked me. I was like, "Oh my god, that is like the sweetest thing ever." And I wasn't really used to doing podcasts or anything like that, so it was definitely very special to have me as your guest because I was just so excited to be able to like share. And I remember I had to go outside because my house was like full of gas. I was like doing the interview from the car, so it was a good time. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, and thank you for accepting to be on our show now.
Well, there we go. Things goes around, comes around, right?
I love it. I love it. So tell me, Regina, for those who don't know you, which I doubt there's anybody that doesn't know you, but
Oh,
for those
oh
that
yes.
don't, tell us a little bit about you. I mean, I know a little bit about you, but I want to make sure that
Oh, that's so funny that you would assume that everybody knows me. I always assume that nobody knows me.
well,
But so
that's what
so
we all
thank you.
assume. That's what we all assume, and then people do know
Yeah,
you.
look, I've been on the Amazon scene since 2015. My previous life has been long and varied. As I still trying to figure out what to be when I grow up. But I started my first Amazon brand in 2015 and did pretty well with it and was really happy. And then I sort of moved a little bit into helping other sellers, and I started my podcast, Women on Amazon. And now I'm spending most of my time helping sellers who are wanting to exit their brands. I've sort of taken on the role with Fortunate. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but that's where I'm spending most of my time with sellers these days. And also, I do a little bit of stuff in the crypto sphere, just for fun as well. So
I know. I saw that. I was so excited. Well, one because there's not that many women that are into this crypto space, and I'm more into the NFT space than crypto. I mean, obviously I own crypto. You can really trade NFTs or create NFTs or buy NFTs unless you own Ethereum. So I am in crypto, I guess, on a very small level, not as high as you, because I just need to use the currency. But I love that like you actually went really deep with it, and I'd love to ask you more about it. But what attracted you to this space? I mean, you've been in Amazon for so long, and I know you're still very much on a daily basis still handle
I'm,
Amazon
s- I'm,
business.
s- I'm still in the Amazon. I'm still very much have my finger in the Amazon
Especially
pie.
now, especially with Fortunate, and congratulations, Fortunate. It's an amazing, amazing company, and I love
Yeah,
everyone there. So I'm glad to see that you joined.
it's a
That
fun team. It's a fun team, and we're really helping sellers. Because I know what it's like to work my ass off and building a brand. And I had my brand for sale about 4 or 5 years ago, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, Fortinet was not around at that stage, and it did not go well for me. And so I sort of I feel I lost probably $1 million or more
Oh God.
in the way that my exit was handled. And so I'm really, really passionate about
Mhm.
making sure that sellers are looked after and that their interests are taken care of when they do make that. And for a lot of them, it's their one time to create generational wealth, right? So
Absolutely. And so you're able to basically guide them based on your process as well, or at least
yeah,
see some of the things that are missing or not discussed because you already went through it. So
Yeah,
it's much easier to, I guess, pinpoint some of these things, right? Are
yeah.
you able to do that with?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm able to, and then the team at Fortunate, we're able to look at a seller's account and guide them and help them through, to
Yeah,
get the best possible outcome we can for them. Yeah.
that's amazing. Is this what attracted you to Fortinet in the first place? Like just the desire of helping others maximize their exit and
Yeah,
success?
absolutely. When Yale and the team sort of approached me last year, it sort of was like a really nice fit. It really worked with where I was, personally in my journey, through the Amazon space, and helping. So I've been helping sellers for the last 2.5 years anyway. So this was like a really logical progression in in my sort of way of helping sellers, and it's been really exciting.
And what about the crypto space? Like what, because that's, I mean, just by I've been in this space since, I was trying to think, since last March, and I know exactly it was last March. I don't usually remember dates, but I remember I had somebody mention Coinbase to me because I wanted to open an account that gosh, what is it called? It will come to me. I'll tell you by the end of this episode. But I remember I opened it because I needed this currency, and it was just so overwhelming for me. I'm like, I didn't understand why you need a million different wallets, a million different accounts to do like one small transaction. And even with that transaction, you had to be extremely careful to where you're sending that money to.
Mm.
So, what made you get into it?
Oh, look, I've been dabbling with crypto since 2016, 2017. So it's been on my radar for quite a long time. And over the years, I've bought a little bit, sold a little bit. I became a bit of an expert at buying high and selling low, you know, because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just like, oh, yeah, Bitcoin's doing well, I really should get some. So I had wallets open everywhere. And then, I've been part of the Rapid Crush sort of group for a number of years, and the guys there. And sort of also about March last year that Dan Hollings first started talking about what he was doing with his crypto bots. And because I had already had experience in, a little bit in that crypto space, I looked at what he was doing, and it really made a lot of sense to me. So I sort of bought the course, the same way as I did when I jumped into Amazon. I bought the training, did well. And it was the same thing here. I bought the
Mm.
training, loved the training, did well with it. And now, in the same way that I support Amazon sellers, I now also support people in that crypto bot space as well. So,
That's
so I help people
incredible.
sort of get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so I mean, I still like don't really as I said, I don't deal much with crypto besides just buying it for the purpose of
Yeah.
using it. So it's even hard for me to understand some of the implications in this because it's like, I mean, would you say it's similar to like trading stocks?
No.
No,
Well, yes
not
and no. I
not
mean,
not the actual stock part, but like the process of, because you're buying, you're selling, but now you have a bot. Can you go into more details
yeah,
on that?
look, the bots, I say bots, but it's actually an automation.
Right, of course.
What we do is it's sort of like an AI that we set up that trades the volatility of crypto. Because the one thing about crypto is, unlike, real estate or even some stocks, it's very, very volatile, as you'd know, if you're buying and selling, or even if you're just reading the news, one day, Bitcoin's 60,000, the next day it's 35,000, the next day it's, 45. So it's all over the place. And so if you're trying to time the market with trading, it's actually really quite difficult, right? There's very few people, unless they're prepared to hold for a long term. Um, it's hard to know when to buy and when to sell, right? As I said, like I became an expert at buying high and selling low because I just, didn't know what the hell I was doing. But what we do with the trading bots is we set a grid that what it does is it captures that volatility. So we do what's called dollar cost averaging. So we do, we buy little by little by little as prices come down, and then we sell little by little by little as prices go up. So it's sort of, yes, it's a combination of dollar cost averaging and trading, but we set it all up automatically. So it's done on our exchanges without us actually having to do it. We just set it up. We say, this is the price, the high price, and this is the lower price that we think the coin will go to. And while it's trading within that price level, we'll buy when it's down and we'll sell when it's up, and we'll make some profits.
But isn't there a cost every time you sell or buy? Is that gas fee?
No, gas fee is
Or
when you're moving from one exchange to another exchange. So it's like if you're used to buying NFTs and you're moving, especially Ethereum, there are gas fees. But when you're on an exchange, there's no gas fees trading within the exchange. There are trading fees, the same as when you're trading stocks. So there's a small percentage of your trade that you pay in fees, but that's like a 1%. So it's quite small. It's not like the gas fees. If you're moving from one exchange to another, certain coins, there are gas fees. But in this case, what we do, the trades, no, there's no gas fees.
so the bot is set up that the trade is at least more successful than that fee is, because I mean
Well, yeah, well, yes, because the fee is a percentage of the trade. It's not a flat fee.
mm, yes, but every
So,
time you
so if you're trading, if you're buying or selling, let's say your trade is $30, you might pay 30 cents as your fee.
hmm so you want to make sure that your costs are way lower than your profit would be, because I would assume like having all these transactions during the day, like sell now, sell because it keeps going higher or lower, like it adds up. Like, do you feel like that's ends up being like a large sum, or not necessarily?
No, because it's a percentage. So the way that these are set up, that you only ever sell at a profit.
Hmm.
Okay, so because you've bought at a lower than you sell, you're selling always at a profit, and your trading fees comes out of that profit. And the trading fee is, as I said, like 1% or less, depending on your exchange generally. So no, you're never going to have more fees than you are in your profits.
Got it. No, that's so incredible. And do you track it every like hour or so, or once it's set
Oh
up, you
God, no. Oh God, no. No. No, once you set it up, you just let it run. Like I sort of check in usually once a day, sometimes twice a day. Like as always, when you first get excited, looking at it every hour, but it doesn't do anything because you're literally
right?
just sitting there watching it doing this thing. So, so Dan basically says, the thing is we learn to sit on our hands and do nothing
Oh,
once they're set up, and we just let them run and get about our business. That's been my time talking to Amazon sellers, because I'm not worried about my crypto. That's
yeah.
just running. That's running, on the side.
Wow, that's really incredible. And then you just add more money when you want to invest more and
Yeah,
so forth.
you can
And
add more money. You take it out. You put it into vaults. I've been playing in the NFTs recently. That's been a lot of fun. That's a lot more speculative.
yeah, it's definitely fun. I mean, NFTs are definitely, that's why I just get so excited talking to people like yourself that have been in the space for a little bit, because there's not many people that you can talk to about this, amongst your friends, and not everybody understands it. And beside that, most of us are so busy that we don't have time to take on other ventures. For in my case, luckily, Rank Bell has been running pretty well by itself for a few years now. So I was able to jump in and actually take the time to understand. Because, as I said, Regina, and I'm sure maybe for you it wasn't as difficult, but I it was a struggle for me. It was a struggle to really wrap my mind around why are certain things done the way they are? Why do we need to use all these different platforms? Why do we need to exchange all this money? Why can I not just buy something with my credit card? It's like taking everything that you've learned your whole life and say, you know what? We're not doing that anymore. We're using a
Exactly.
different system. And it did take a while, so I can see how some people are hindered by that fact, even if they are curious about getting into crypto or bots. And I don't know if this is something you encounter with your students, but it's hard getting over that hump of like, oh, I get it now. Like, are you helping onboard people like that as well?
Look, generally, I find the people that come to sort of through me to do the Dan Hollings, the CryptoBot training, are people that are looking, they're generally already entrepreneurs. It's funny, I don't know the exact numbers, but a large proportion are like you, like me. We're entrepreneurs, so we're open to new ideas. And also, we're aware of what's happening with the money system. The way that the banking systems and the money systems have been set up historically are not doing us a great favor these days. And the $100 that you have today is worth a lot less than the $100 you had last year, right? If you have it in the bank, it does nothing. And so, the whole blockchain, and I don't say that I understand it all, but I'm trying to figure it out. But what I do truly believe is that that is the future of money.
Mhm.
Is crypto is very much the future of money. And I think, our children are going to be living in a very different world. And I'd like to think, well, I'd like to know the world that that my child is going to be living in. And, their money is going to be different. The way that they transact, well, it's already different. I mean, look at how things have changed in the last 5, 10 years, but it's going to change even more as we move on. So we've got to understand the new technology. We've got to understand, the metaverse where everybody's going to be living in, and we've got to, if we can, try and profit from it as much as we can because the opportunities are there.
Mm. Do you see a lot more people coming into the space and trying to at least understand it and learn it? What do you see on your side?
Yeah, look, I think people are trying to learn it, and I think it's sifting through because there's so many so-called experts, that are and everybody's got their opinion, and I think it's a matter of finding the trusted sources that speak from as much as they possibly can an unbiased um, uh, platform, and it's hard to find those people because everybody's shilling something, right?
Yep.
So you don't want to be basing your investments on Elon Musk's tweets, right? You want to be looking at saying, okay, if you want to get into the crypto space, is this something that you truly believe in, and if you do, how much,
Mm,
and what are you going to do about it?
mm,
And I truly believe that in the next sort of 5 to 10 years, our money is going to be very different. And so I'm doing everything I can to be in the right place at the right time so that I can take advantage of it. Now,
yeah.
am I going to make $1 million in the next 6 months? Probably not. It's not about this month and next month. I'm making a little bit,
Yep.
but it's really about building things up for the next 4 or 5 years.
Right.
That,
And the
that's
learning
my
and being in the process, I think
yeah.
that's even better than making money. And this is one thing that, some people don't do, which is, really get curious. Because what happens is, there's different trends coming all the time. I don't believe this is a trend. I believe, just like you do, that crypto's here to stay. NFTs, all of this, even NFTs, I think uh they will change even as a name. I mean, this is like version like
Yeah.
not even version 1. I mean, this is still forming as because it's still so new. So I do believe this is the future. And I think for those listening and everybody else out there, whether it's a trend or not, and anything that comes into our lives, especially for us entrepreneurs, like really pay attention to the noise, pay attention to the outside world, whether you believe in that specific thing or not. Because what happens is, Regina, at least from what I've seen in the past, is people are so quick to disregard and kind of just like put it away, like, this is not happening, this is not happening, this is not real, this is not real. And they kind
Oh,
of just
look,
let the wave go. But at the same time, it's like it just taking the time to really understand something and then decide later, is this
Yeah.
something may even be something that I'm interested in. But instead of just saying like, oh, I'm just gonna ignore it because oh, it's gonna go away, that does no longer
No,
work.
no. I think the days. I mean, maybe when Bitcoin was $10, maybe when Bitcoin was $50. I mean, don't you wish you'd bought some
Oh
it when it was
my God.
$10 a coin? I mean, like we knew about it. I remember it back then. I remember laughing with my friends about it. It's like, what is this thing, right?
I remember
Um,
it exactly. And I had a friend who told me, I think it was like around $350 or something. And I don't understand why I didn't buy it, because I buy stocks. Like
yeah,
I'm very much into this. And I was just like, it's fine. Like I'm not worried about it. Like I don't know what this is. And I didn't care to even look into it. And which is why I can speak about it now. Like, please, like pay attention and at least get involved and learn what it is.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think as I just before we came on this call, Bitcoin was sort of coming down off sort of about 42. It was down to about 40, 41,000, which, great time to buy. You,
Right.
you just don't know. Like we missed out at 350. I managed to get some at 29 last year. I managed to get some at 39. I managed to get some at 49. If you think it's going to go to, 100, 150, then what does it matter if it's 41 or 42, right?
Exactly. I mean, I was watching a documentary the other day, and I mean, the experts are saying that this may even go to $1 million at
Yeah.
some point in our lifetime. Can it be? I mean, I think it can. But you
Yeah,
never
I think
really,
it can.
you
For
never really.
anybody who's listening, they just need to Google the Bitcoin stock to flow model. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a chart that sort of charts the progression of the price of Bitcoin over time. It's stock to flow. It's a model that's been used for other commodities, but a person by the name of Plan B
Mhm.
put it out a few years ago, and it's reasonably accurate. And the prediction is that sometime, around about now and possibly in the next 12 months, it will hit 100,000 or more. And in the next 4 or 5 years, it's, possible that it will go to 1 million.
And you've
Uh,
been following this pretty closely.
look, I'm aware of it. I don't look at it every day,
Yeah. No, I'm
but
looking
it's
at it right
something.
now. Yeah, for those that want to do it, just type in Bitcoin stock to flow model. And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, this is it's
and
not
and you can
far
see
from being accurate. Yes.
historically it's been reasonably accurate at predicting the price. And so if you look at, it's a model, so nothing's guaranteed. But if you look at historically what it's done, what it's predicted the price of Bitcoin with the halvings, and if it continues at the same pace, then there's some good times ahead for those that are holding Bitcoin.
That is incredible. Like I've never seen this chart. Thank you.
Oh,
It's
you haven't seen that one?
I've
Yeah,
never seen this. Like guys, like you should really check this out. It's really it's scary accurate so far. I mean, it has, a little fluctuation, but
well, look, it's volatile. It's
very, very
volatile.
small, but very, very small. I've never seen a chart like that clean and that accurate. That's incredible. Thank you for telling me that. That's
You
beautiful.
know, you
That
know.
that gives me hope because I bought Bitcoin at like the highest, whatever the highest.
Oh, you bought in November? Did you buy in November? Did you when it was 69?
I think I wasn't as terrible. I think I got it at like 60.
Yeah, but you know what? You just hold it and wait. Like I bought some at 62. Don't worry.
Well, that's
But
exactly the
now,
thing.
but now's a good time to buy. It's at 40. It's just come down a bit today as well.
I know,
So,
but it's like for people, it's like, wow, like how do you even buy something that expensive? But really, if you think about it,
no,
like
but
you
you don't have to buy a
have
whole Bitcoin, right? You don't buy a
exactly.
Bitcoin. You can buy $100 worth. You can buy $10 worth. You can buy $5 worth.
Yeah.
That you buy little satoshis, little bits of Bitcoin.
Yes, that's a
So,
I did well when I don't take my advice because I'm a quick start. I don't know if you ever done your Colby.
oh, I'm a quick start. I'm nosebleed, darling.
I same,
Nosebleed, quick start.
same. Okay, so do not listen to me and Regina. Go a little
No,
bit. but I usually go kind of head on strong. I'm like, oh, I'll put in 50,000 or 100,000, whatever. But it's a little scary. But you can buy just little tiny bits, and then it's something that like your kids can
Yeah,
have.
look,
You
look.
just don't waste it.
Historically, one of the best things to do that we, again, not a recommendation, not financial advice, but is to dollar cost average. So if you can set up to buy a little bit every day or a little bit every week, whatever is the amount that you're not gonna miss. If you think you can give up your cup of coffee a day at
Mhm.
$3.50 or $5 a day or whatever that is, and once a week buy a little bit of Bitcoin at whatever the price is on that day, then and you're not going to miss it. And then look at your
Exactly.
account in 12 months from now, and you'll be pleasantly surprised.
And it's better than not doing anything. And that's,
Exactly.
and it's so funny, Regina, because like you would think because we know like our families are gonna do it and our close friends. And yeah, I remember like
Oh,
once I
mine
started,
won't.
yeah,
Mine
once
won't.
I started learning even stocks back then, and even a simple IRA, IRA, like the Roth IRA, we have that in US. They're just, programs that you
Yeah.
can put in your money that grow over time for retirement. And I remember when I first learned about it, I was like, oh my God, I told everyone, I'm like, you need to get a Roth IRA. And they're like, why are you like looking so hard and long into the future? Because you're not accessing that money for 20, 30, 40 years in some cases, especially if you start when you're 20. And now they wish they did, because
Of
just
course.
because I did it so early, the compound interest like sneaks up on you over time. It won't happen immediately, you won't see it in a year or two, but
Well, yeah, don't they say that compound is the eighth wonder of the world? Compound interest, if you really understand how that works, it's the eighth wonder of the world.
and I love the direction that this podcast is going, because I feel like not only for women but really for everyone out there, and especially for entrepreneurs, Regina, what happens is we have this tendency of putting everything back into our business, which, guys, it's amazing.
Oh,
Please
of
continue
course.
investing into your business, but please remember that you're not always going to be like fully capable of doing 100% work all the time. Like, you are going to want to retire one day, and whether your business will be flourishing or not, and let's hope all of our Amazon businesses are going to be killing it, and everybody's going to exit with millions of dollars with the help of
Yes.
you and Fortunate and everybody else, right? But you have to diversify, and I think that's not spoken enough, because of everybody's struggling and Amazon and this. But even like you said, even that $5, $10, you may think, oh, it's not enough, it's just too little, it's not even worth it. But that compound interest, Regina, like
Yep.
works for you.
Absolutely.
And it's it's
Absolutely.
it's sad not seeing a lot more people investing. And again, don't be crazy, and don't be just spending money on what your neighbor Joe said, that he saw some opportunity somewhere. I mean, look
Oh, yeah, yeah. Don't take advice from the taxi drivers,
at, I mean, I met some
Because
pretty smart.
everybody's got a coin, or a crypto coin that they think is going to be the next big one. Like
Exactly.
I was on the phone to someone a few months ago. I think it was like my internet service provider. Somebody that I
Yeah.
was on the phone to. Just some random person I was talking to, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I'm in crypto." And he's asking me for advice. Oh, what coin should I buy? I'm like, "Why are you asking me, some random stranger?"
And some people do it. I mean, I guess the safe bet is always Bitcoin, right? Because I mean, there are
Yeah,
so
Bitcoin,
many
Ethereum, that's it. Yeah.
there's so many other coins, and I'm not saying that they're not going to be successful. A lot of them are, but a lot of them are what they're called shit coins, right? I mean, that is an actual term that people are using for good reasons, because there are some coins that like, if you study about this and you learn, like, you can have your own coin, and then
Oh
how
yeah,
you
I can set up my
around.
my Regicoin is out next month, right?
Why don't you have a coin, Regina, by now?
I just haven't had the time. I actually did a training a couple of months ago around how to do that, and I decided, yeah, I'm not ready. What am I going to
Oh,
do with it?
so they are trainings, and as you can see, guys, like anybody really can set up a coin.
Yeah,
And
you can. If somebody wants to start up to start their own coin, I can point you in the direction of somebody who can teach you how to do it. I won't do it,
yeah.
but I know who's training people on how to start their own coins.
That's incredible. You see, even this, like the future is here. Like the future
Oh,
is here. It
yeah,
really is.
absolutely, absolutely.
I love that we're having all these opportunities, and I love that out of this blockchain space and web3, I feel like it's like a revolution of really everything that we know that has to do with money and everything else. I mean, you mentioned metaverse earlier, and that's not even something that's discussed almost at all, because first we started with just the currency, and a lot of people got into it and learning, and then NFTs evolved from it, which the way I explain it to people, and I don't know if you probably have better explanation than me. I look at the cryptocurrency as just the currency, the money, and then I look at NFTs are as the things that you buy. And then there's all these other things that will be transforming from this. But I believe even your ID, your title for your home, your title for the car, all of these will eventually become NFTs, which is really just saying a footprint onto this blockchain. It's like
On the blockchain, yeah.
exactly a document, a virtual document of you owning a piece of anything. And I love that this is very transparent. You can literally, if you knew like Elon Musk's address, or Jeff Bezos or all the other people, you can actually see their transactions as they're happening onto the blockchain, which
Yeah.
we've never had transparency at this level. Like, how does that make you feel, like when you think of this transparency happening in the future? Do
Oh,
you
look,
think?
I love it. I mean, and there's some wallets that I follow in the NFT space, and I look at, and I can follow and I can see what they're buying. Um, and if I feel like copying, I do, and if I don't, it's just it's interesting. Again, it's time consuming, so I don't do that as much as I'd like to.
Right.
But there's absolutely, and there's people out there that follow, the big money,
Hmm.
and they tweet and they say, this person, if they can match the wallet to the person, often they can't. But they say, these whale wallets, they know how big these whale wallets are. These whale wallets are going into here, and they can see the trends. So yes, it's very, very much more transparent, which
Yes.
is where it needs to be, because look at where the money is now. The money is in families. It's being held. It's in oligarchs, and it's it's on yachts in the Mediterranean, and we don't know where it is. We don't know how they got it, right? And things have got to change. There has got to be a revolution in the financial systems, because people are sick and tired of not knowing. The guys at the top making the money, and it's in their best interest to keep everybody else poor and ignorant, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that they're trying. I feel like a lot of people are really just making waves for their own families and for their own future, and it's really up to each one of us to take that in consideration and apply some of the techniques that people before us came and thought. Like had no idea about Bitcoin. I mean, if it wasn't for all the pioneers in the space
Yeah.
and those who attracted that attention, but it took me and my decision to sit down and actually invest the time, because what people don't realize, especially like in my case, like they see me going to all these events and they're thinking, oh my gosh, she's just having like parties all day every day, right? Like that's all she does. But
Oh, well, no, 'cause it's education, right? It's like you and I think we both we invest a lot in our own education, and
very
then
much.
make decisions. I mean, I've done a lot of training courses that I think, oh yeah, that's nice, but it's not for me. But at
Mhm.
least I know what it is,
I've
right?
done that way too many times that I'd like to admit. And again,
Yeah,
I think that's where that quick start comes in, because I'm very quick and like, oh, there's this course. Oh, there's this. I mean, I spend money on courses on how to make courses. I've never even took a course. I've never even
yeah,
opened that course. So I know that do not do that. Like I do better with, if somebody's teaching me like one-on-one. So even for when I started with the crypto and NFT, I actually had a kid that literally, when I say a kid, he's like, I don't know, 18 or something.
yeah.
That I actually paid per hour to
We'll
like
teach
teach
you.
me all these things. And
Yeah,
I do way better like on one-on-one, like over Zoom. And I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense rather than me going through a course because like I really don't have that
Yeah,
much.
but there's so much, like if somebody wants to know the basics, like I don't know if you know Michael Saylor, he has a great website called hope.com.
Hope,
So,
like
and that's
Webby.
hope, Hope, hope.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, free Bitcoin, because he believes that Bitcoin is hope. That's why he's got hope.com. And it's he's got some amazing free education all around blockchain. So if you're looking for somewhere to start to understand blockchain and the crypto land and Bitcoin in particular, he's got podcast episodes, but he's also got like a training, like a free training program in there to give people basics so that at least they have some knowledge. Because if you're just watching the news, the only time you hear about cryptocurrency is either when it's going through the roof or when it's going through the floor, right?
Mm-hmm. That is
One
such
or the
a
other.
good observation.
You're
That
either
is
seeing Bitcoin billionaires or you're seeing, Bitcoin's crashing and then everybody, then there's blood on the floor. They never talk about what it actually is, right?
wow, that's such a good observation. And as you're saying these things, I pull them up, and I, I can see this website being extremely valuable for somebody. And again, you don't have to start investing into anything, but I feel like having the knowledge around it and being aware of what's happening in the world rather than just ignoring it is really the first step. Because then you might find actually something that you love. And as I was saying, all the events that I'm going to, it's just
Mm.
so incredible seeing people from all over the world in all different kind of niches, Regina, like come together for this one specific thing. And it's just beautiful because you sit with somebody and you're talking for hours and you realize you don't even know what they do in the real life, right?
Yeah.
Like they may be a nurse, they may be a fireman, they may be all these things, and yet nobody even cares because we're all there for that one specific reason. And that's why I think one of my favorite events that I went to this past few months is the NFT one in LA.
Mhm.
And I love that one because I felt like everybody there was one, we're all there for NFTs, but two, it's like the vibration of the group. I felt like we're all on the same kind of mindset of like spreading positivity and high energy and all this. And I'm like, I wonder if there's a correlation between the NFT space and this, and like spiritual people and a lot of people that believe in manifestation and believe in like all the things that I'm into. And it was just a funny observation because I'm like, oh my god, literally everybody that I talked to here, I told them, I'm like, oh, I manifested going to this concert. They're like, oh my god, let me tell you about what I manifested. And I'm caught me by surprise because that's not something that I talk to people at an Amazon event. Hey, I manifested a sale of $10,000 today. They would be like, what are you talking about? So
Yeah, but no, but for Amazon sellers, I mean, yes, manifestation is one way to describe it, but mindset, and this is sort of like coming back to the topic at hand, mindset. Manifestation is just a part of it, but mindset is such a big and important part for entrepreneurs and for Amazon entrepreneurs.
mhm.
And I disagree. I think we do manifest. We manifest our brands and we manifest
I
our growth. You know,
I believe it, but are people really paying attention to
but
that?
they're not talking about it. They may call it something different,
Mm.
but I think mindset is very much, certainly here in Australia. Mindset in the Amazon community is really being talked about a lot. It's one of the hot topics.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful to hear because I can't say it's the same here. And every time I open the subject of mindset with hardcore entrepreneurs, usually they'll say, I don't have time for that. Like I'm just here to grind, I'm just here to put my head down. And little do people know, I feel like mindset is everything.
Well, I mean, you've got like the end game. I'm just looking at the scrolling of all of the different things. So, like, Jamie and Michael at the end game are really big into mindset. And, Jamie came and spoke at my event. I had like an event a couple of weeks ago where we brought 30 of Australia's top Amazon sellers together for a weekend in a hothouse. And we talked about mindset. We talked about,
Of course,
technique, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the mindset, none of the techniques
it doesn't matter.
matter.
Yeah.
They
because
don't matter.
we do live in a, information world right now. Literally anything that you want, it's available for you to learn. And most of these, like you said, and thank you again for the resources like hope.com, like that's incredible, Regina. When I grew up in Romania, you had to go to a library and find a book on something that somebody wrote hundreds of years ago. And it's great. I love books more than anything. But what I'm saying is information is so easily available to us right now. So there's absolutely no reason for anybody to not become a millionaire and a billionaire if they want to, because the information exists. Whereas before we didn't have access to it. So it's the mindset that actually takes you from point A to point B. If you don't
And it's also being open, right? It's having that the mindset of being open to new ideas and not being set in a particular way and going like you and I were both like, well, we changed our minds around Bitcoin, right? Like
Mhm.
once upon a time,
Yep,
Bitcoin was a
absolutely.
joke.
Yeah.
And now, every penny I have, I'm buying more,
So
because
you are constantly investing in Bitcoin. Is that your primary coin that you're sticking with?
well, look, I do have my trading bots, and the trading bots I trade all the different coins, like all sorts of different
Mhm.
coins. But in terms of long-term holding, I hold predominantly actually Ethereum. I probably have more Ethereum than I have Bitcoin.
I do too.
Um, Plus, I also have some of the other top 10 coins. And I also have, a little bit of some of the shit coins just for the fun of it.
Oh my God,
But in terms,
I bought Doge just because it was like a million something, and it
oh, I don't have Doge,
no,
but
no,
I
no.
do
I
have,
actually, I'm lying. I'm lying, and that is not Doge. It's Shiba.
oh, Shiba. Oh,
I
well, there's one dog or another dog.
was so funny. It was funny because like I'm looking at it right now. Okay, this is hilarious. 73 million Shiba Inus, which guys, I mean, when I say that, I think I paid like, I don't know, a few $100 for it. So
I was going to say,
just
that's a couple of $100, right?
exactly, just to give you like an idea, like this did not cost me millions of dollars, but I'm like, oh, it will just be fun to have it there. And like anything, you never know. Like if this goes up even like a cent or something, like it's gonna make me some serious money.
Yeah, but with those sorts of coins, with those shit coins, it's fun to have, a couple of hundred here, a couple of hundred there. But in
Exactly.
terms of serious long-term investing, the top 10 by market cap, and you want to try and understand what they do, right? A
Exactly.
lot of the coins, Bitcoin does not have utility, but pretty
Mhm.
much every other coin has a utility and has a use case, and you've got to say, okay, what is the coin used for? Is it something that people are going to actually have
Use.
a use case? Obviously, like Shiba doesn't, Doge doesn't. They were literally joke coins.
Exactly. Hmm.
So they're not what I would consider an investment.
Yeah.
They're those sorts of coins playing on that sort of like FOMO, right?
Hmm.
Uh, because people fear of missing out because that's where the newspapers come in. They go, Doge, this, Elon tweeted and Shiba went up, and all these people are all of a sudden millionaires. But here's the
Yeah.
thing: most of them are not, because they don't sell when it's high, right?
Hmm.
They hold on because they think it's going to get even higher.
Yep.
So they go, if they'd sold, they may have made, a couple of $100,000 or whatever. But no, they're gonna hold on, they're gonna hold on, they're gonna hold on, and it comes back down again, and all of a sudden, their couple of $100,000 is now worth a couple of hundred again.
Hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
the nature of those sort of shit coins. You've got to be a little
Yeah.
bit careful.
Again, like just like we said in the beginning, like make sure you you take some time to actually read about some of these. And like some of these coins, like you can create infinite amount, which is what makes Bitcoin so valuable. And one of
That's right.
the most expensive coins is because there's a limited amount. There's always some that are lost. I mean,
Well,
and that.
it's rarer than gold. It
Mhm.
actually is rarer than gold because there's only a certain amount that's ever going to be made. We know there's been a lot lost.
Mhm.
And, I have a friend here who he was really early on the Bitcoin wagon. He had a website where he was selling sleep masks. And he actually somehow managed to hook up back in the day onto his website to take Bitcoin. He actually had somebody pay him one whole Bitcoin for a sleep mask. This is,
Oh,
years ago. So, so this is
I,
when Bitcoin was what, $25 or whatever it was. And the problem is he now has lost the wallet. He doesn't know what happened to that Bitcoin. He's got no way of finding it. He knows he's got one somewhere, but he's never going to see it again. So
well,
and
yeah, and
there's a lot of people that have gone through that, right? And there's the famous story about the guy in the UK that had hundreds of Bitcoin on his computer and forgot about it and then threw the computer out, right?
yeah, these are definitely stories that you hear, and that's why it's so important to protect your assets. And and I'm terrible at this too, because I don't remember a lot of these things. But for things that are important, like a wallet, you want to make sure that you're moving some of these assets onto like the cold wallet, which that can be easily lost if you don't have like a safe.
Yeah, you've got to make sure that all your seed phrases, you've got them written down in a notebook. You don't want to have them on a computer that's linked to with the cloud, right? Because you don't want your passwords up in the cloud. If I always, if I store my passwords and seed phrases, I have them on a USB, and I take my computer offline. If I put the USB in the computer, you just got to be a little bit careful.
Exactly. And that's why, I think that's another thing that why people are so kind of cautious going into this, because there are so many moving steps, and I don't like a lot of moving steps. I like everything fast. But even for somebody like me, like if you take the time to understand why this is important and this is important, then you really care about the things that you do. So I'm so glad we got to talk about this. But tell me, what are some things that you're doing? I know you have your own conference coming up this year.
Yeah,
Tell me.
we've got, we had, my friend Chris Thomas from the Australian Seller and we had the inaugural Amazon Collective Mastermind Retreat, which we had in March, which was a great success. And we took experienced sellers, so no newbies, but we took a selection of experienced sellers to basically a beautiful resort in country Victoria, and we locked them up for 2 days, so they didn't have a chance to leave. And it was the first time really here in Australia where we've had that high level of interaction of people, because like Amazon sellers, we generally work alone, at our dining room tables. And it was really nice because even though it's not a huge seller community, it was interesting that most people did not know each other. There was everybody was meeting. Some people may have known one or two other people, but there was nobody in the room that knew everybody else in the room. And so we had some great presentations, but more importantly, between breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks till 2 o'clock in the morning, and early morning walks, there was a lot of interaction and masterminding being done, which was really what I was hoping to achieve. And it was such a great success that we're running the next one in late July. And so now our borders are open. So if anybody from anywhere else in the world wants to come and join us, they're welcome to. We don't have the landing page and all the pretty website done yet, but if you're interested, it's 29th to the 31st of July in the beautiful Yarra Valley. It's going to be winter here in July. So we're doing it again, bigger and better and brighter. And we're going to have a couple of international guests come to join us. Pretty much everybody who was at the last one is already committed to coming to the next one.
Beautiful.
Which is amazing, because it's about the people in the room. It's not about who's on the stage. As you know, with these things, it's about the people in the room, and who you sit next to at dinner, who you go for a walk with. It was funny, there was like two lots. There was the lot that were up at night drinking until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then there was the other lot that were up at 5:30, 6 o'clock and going for walks.
They mad like, okay, I'm going to sleep. I'm just waking up to go for a walk. That's beautiful.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that would be the person that did both, honestly. I'll be like,
No,
oh,
nobody did both. Nobody did both. I
I'll
was
just
in the early morning.
I'll just stay awake all night so I can catch Regina on her 6 a.m. walk. But I know you would be the one staying up with me, so I wouldn't be.
Yeah, my days of staying up late. Like I stayed up for you tonight, darling, but
We
but I don't
really
do that very
are
often. So yes,
good.
so I'm working on that. And then at the moment, like right now, I'm actually in a hotel room. I'm on the Gold Coast for Retail Global, which is
Mhm.
a big event here in on the Gold Coast in Queensland. Lots of sellers, so I'm looking forward to the next couple of days, um, meeting perhaps
Beautiful.
sellers that I don't know and other service providers. So and networking. It's
You
really
are a
good.
busy woman, Regina. And again, I thank you for being here. For those who want to reach out to you, whether it's for, maybe getting information on a crypto bot or Fortinet, how can they find you? What's the
Look, the
easiest?
easiest way to find me is I live on Facebook Messenger. So I'm the only Regina Peterbergsky. So it's easy to find me. So just send me a DM via Facebook Messenger, and I'm also on LinkedIn. That's also pretty easy. That's the simplest ways to find me.
Thank you
Just
again
just say
for
hi.
Yeah, thank you for being on Seller Sessions today. We appreciate you. I love you. I miss you. I cannot wait to see you in person and give you the biggest hug in the world.
Soon, soon. We're just going to do it soon.